Famous. Hello, welcome to Loose Women on this Thursday lunchtime, keeping you company for the next hour with me, Kay Adams. It's Sinead Trasarka, Linda Robson and Nadia Sawala. Coming up, you just heard them there.
Everything feels better with you. You feel better, better, better. It feels better with you. It feels better with you.
Get ready to scream. Broth singer turned Vegas sensation Matt Goss is live in the studio to talk music, movies and moving home. Also today, a decade on from the conviction of 9 men for the shocking abuse of underage girls in Rochdale, 3 victims have finally received apologies from the police. Hero whistleblower Maggie Oliver, who has spoken to the girls every day for 10 years, will be talking for the first time about the huge personal cost of her fight for justice. And just after 1, critics have called it the most sadistic reality TV show ever. The controversial Japanese show which sees toddlers sent out, look at them, bless, to the weekly shop all by themselves. Oh, look at that. It's so cute. I tell you what, it must be summer because Linda's got her flip-flops on.
I know, yeah. And they're staying on till Christmas.
Staying on till Christmas, they are. I don't think I got the summer dress memo here. I feel wrong. But first, you know, the pressure from many still on the Prime Minister to resign. It's now been revealed that he could receive 3 more fines for attending illegal parties on top of the one he already has. And that comes after a poll result on yesterday's show where 76 of you said that he should go.
76%.
76%. No, sorry, thanks for that.
76 of you said...
I'm getting my statistics and my statistics mixed up, aren't I? Sorry about that. 76% of you said that he should go, but not Denise. She had a different view.
Do I think he should resign? No, because I've said for many reasons in the last 2 years, as far as I'm concerned, it's sort of better the devil you know. I'm not as informed as a lot of people on the situation in the Ukraine, but I do believe that he is doing the best job he can for that.
Well, there you go. And Nadia, I know that you saw that clip and you were slightly
Denise,
imploding.
I love you, but you really, really annoyed me yesterday. I held back from phoning. I mean, one of the things that Denise says also is, you know, that she didn't believe in the lockdown. She's always been very honest about that. But this is the man that came up with the lockdown rules and then didn't stick to them.
Yeah.
Time and time again. Lied to us time and time again. If you actually go back to the recordings of the lies, it's just fascinating.
And does that mean that he should go? I mean, resignation is a big deal of a Prime Minister.
If you eat away at the law, then what do you get? It might seem like a small thing, and we've had lots of presenters on the radio talking about, oh, it was a cake and the cake wasn't open and it was cheesy Wotsits. And I don't forget
only 9 minutes.
I don't forget that little girl that Boris praised when she wrote him a letter saying that she didn't have anyone at her birthday party. Yes, if he was ambushed by a cake, fair enough. But it's not just one thing. And this is the problem. People focusing so much on this was...
Do you know what I remember? Funny you saying about little girl. I remember being in my car and at a point that it was like, don't go more than 5 miles from wherever. And I remember being in my car on my own, you know, obviously no threat of COVID, on my own, feeling scared, feeling anxious, thinking, is this 5.5 miles I'm going? Should I be in this park? Which I mean, I remember that feeling so vividly.
Yeah.
And, you know, Denise will say, well, clearly it was all a load of rubbish then, wasn't it? Because they didn't feel it. They were having parties and they were having a good time.
That's what she should want him to resign them, because he broke
to me,
also, he didn't organise the party, did he? He didn't organise a party. He nearly died a couple of weeks before. He'd been in hospital. He nearly died. So he made a mistake.
Linda, this is a man who is a leader.
I know.
Leaders should lead. Leaders should not make excuses for getting it wrong. Leaders should show an example. Leaders should have integrity. Leaders should do what they say
But
they will
were
do.
meeting
Not
every
do
day.
what I say rather than do what I do. That you say that to your kids from the very
They were
earliest.
meeting every day to discuss what was going on in the country anyway.
Why
And
do
there's
you wanna
nothing
make
to compare
excuses?
this to.
Why do you wanna
Nothing
make
like this has ever
excuses?
happened to us in all these years,
But
has
that's
it?
why it's so serious, because this has never happened to us before, because lockdown was brand new. We'd never even heard the words of staying at home for months on end. So it was that serious that for him to stand there and say to us all, do not leave your homes, pack up. You know, we were all leaving shop. I was in the middle of a show. We finished like 2 weeks into a 12 12-week job. Everyone was panicking, and so we believed what he was saying. If we then find out behind closed doors, he wasn't just going to one party, but what we're saying is there's another few parties coming up. There could be more. And also, what about all the do-gooders like us who don't want criminal records, who don't want to get into trouble with the police? We listen. We go, okay, well, I don't want to get a fine for driving down the motorway when I shouldn't, so I'll stay at home. And then we find out they're untouchable. I think that's the problem.
I think the really important thing on the emotional side, and one of our colleagues, one of the loose women, not so long ago, was weeping downstairs because she felt enormous guilt that she hadn't broken the rules and comforted one of her relatives at a funeral, because she's stuck so close to all. And, you know, I listen to the radio a lot, and you listen to one person after another ringing up and being told that they're not supposed to feel this way because there's a war in Ukraine, because of the vaccine. But these people still couldn't go to funerals. Babies were born without their fathers there. This has hurt a lot of people. And for the Tories to keep telling us that we've just got to get over it because it's 2 years ago, it's not on. It's not on.
But I totally understand that. And there's a war going on, and people lost lives and people lost loved ones during lockdown.
And we're allowed to see them.
But my daughter lost her dad during lockdown. She wasn't allowed to go to the hospital, but I told her to go. I said, just go. Just walk in as if you work there and you go and see your dad before he dies.
But you didn't make the rules.
I didn't make the rules.
If the police had caught you, they would have fined you because you weren't allowed to do it.
But Linda, he didn't organise the party, did he? They just brought in a cake for him and saying happy birthday to him. It wasn't him that organised it. It was the people that were around him that organised it.
So she's too thick to understand it. This is great. This is a guy I really want to lead us who's too thick to understand the rules that he's telling us.
No, Linda's not saying that. Linda's not saying he's too thick to understand it. What she's saying is
chose not to understand it.
Yeah, he chose that it wasn't serious enough for him. The reasoning behind it is what you're defending, but the bigger picture is if a man who's in charge of all of us is allowed to show he's untouchable and he's allowed to make and break the rules.
Well, he's not untouchable because he's been in trouble for it. He's had to pay a fine for it. He's not untouchable, is he?
But what do you think about all the times he stood in the Houses of Parliament and said no rules at any time were broken? Doesn't that make you question his trust? I know Edwina Currie yesterday was saying Putin will be laughing at us.
Linda.
The rest of the world will look at our dishonest government and wonder how we put up with it. It's embarrassing.
He went in for a meeting, what he thought he was going to talk about the politics and what was going on in the country, and then they brought in a cake for him. He didn't bring the cake and he didn't organise the party.
The police say he broke the rules.
Okay, well, he's paid the price for it,
What about the party that arrived and only had to drink for an hour in the garden?
We can't pile this all on Linda because what I mean is, but I get what you're saying in some respects because the party itself is it sounds petty, and if we're going to say we can't be a country that show we've got a dishonest prime minister, there's so many things we'll never know about that they're doing behind the doors.
But when you stand in the House of Parliament and lie over and over again,
when you've been caught, he's been caught.
It's not a balance sheet. You know, if I get caught for speeding, there's no point in me saying, but officer, I gave 100 quid to charity last week. It doesn't work like that. No. There is not a balance sheet. We have the law. It is a fundamental principle of a democracy that nobody is above the law and we must abide by the rule of law, all of us. And there are many other MPs who have broken the law, who have paid the price and they have lost their jobs. Yeah. It's not an unusual precedent to set. And what we're trying to do, and people talk about the war in Europe, we have a war in Europe. We are not at war. There is a war in Europe. We are looking at Vladimir Putin and we are calling him a war criminal. Biden has called him a war criminal. If we think the rule of law is so worthy of defence globally, then we have to defend it rigidly. And our leaders have to defend it rigidly.
Just one last word. Allegra Stratton is the only one, isn't it? She's the only one that's paid a price.
That was the woman, the press secretary, who appeared to be standing giggling at the lectern and
she hasn't even
talking about a mythical party.
They let her fall for them, didn't they?
Well, we're at the beginning of this, though, aren't we? Yeah. We are at the beginning of this because, as I say, that we are hearing that potentially there will be 3 further fines coming through. We know that there was at least 12 parties being investigated.
Wouldn't it be great if he came forward now and said, let me tell you what really went on now before I get these fines? Because basically we're going to find out as the fines come through and he goes sorry again. Wouldn't it be more honourable for him to now say, I just want to come clean?
The apology we have now is I have paid the fine. I once again offer a full apology. I can understand the anger that many will feel that I myself fell short when it came to observing the very rules which the government I lead had introduced to protect the public. And I accept in all sincerity that people had a right to expect better. So there you go. That is, we've heard that a lot, haven't we, from Boris Johnson. Right. Time to talk about Matt Goss.
Okay.
Still to come. It's really shocking, isn't it? You're allowed to feel angry about this one, though, you know, because it is about law, and you said some really valid
It's not.
points.
It's just a bit of a handbrake turn from Boris Johnson to Matt Goss, that was all. And it took me a little while to compute it in my brain.
Oh, that was so sweet. You looked about 6.
Still to come, Matt Goss. And our thoughts on a very controversial new TV show. And in just a few minutes, hero whistleblower Maggie Oliver has dedicated 10 years of her life to fighting for justice for victims of the Rochdale grooming scandal. She'll tell us why new apologies from police don't go far enough, and talks for the first time about the enormous personal cost of her selfless mission that's had on her own life. So we'll be talking to Maggie when we come back. Nice to see you again. Coming up at 1, cotton wool parents, look away now. We're asking, would you send your 2-year-old to the supermarket on their own? Or let your toddler get on the bus on their own? We're discussing new reality show, Old Enough. Oh, I would if they were as sweet as that. First, how do you fancy getting your hands on a brand new electric Mercedes and a whopping £90,000 in tax-free cash? Greg Doyle has all the details you need.
Woo. Hello there from the top of the Pepper Pot Tower overlooking Powerscourt Gardens, and this really is a lovely little snapshot of County Wicklow and all its beauty. Now, if you want to visit here, I have something that might help you out. We got a huge cash prize and a decent car to boot. That's right, £90,000 could go from ITV's bank account straight into yours. There are adventures to be had around every corner, and if you win this prize, you can go on loads of adventures and in some style, because there is a brand new Mercedes up for grabs too. This sporty SUV comes with all the mod cons and is worth over £47,000. Yep, this fully electric car will be the envy of all your neighbours. £90,000 in tax-free cash and a car. This is how you get involved. For your chance to win, text WIN to 81119. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Go to the website. Entries cost £2. Call 09068 781119. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and phone number to DY15, PO Box 7558, Derby, DE1 0NQ. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close on Friday, the 13th of May at 3 p.m. The best of luck to you.
Now, we are all about celebrating some pretty tough women on this show, and our first guest is certainly one of them, after dedicating a decade of her life fighting for justice for abuse victims.
In 2012, the shocking abuse, sexual assault and grooming of underage girls in Rochdale was laid bare.
9 men found guilty of being part of a child exploitation ring in Rochdale will be sentenced today.
The abusers plied vulnerable underage girls with drink and drugs. Some of their victims were as young as 13. Former police detective Maggie Oliver's work in supporting the victims was crucial in exposing the gang's crimes.
I was at the coalface talking to these kids who have been abused and seeing senior officers allowing it to continue and knowing full well what was going on. I've spoken out because I wanted to show the country what senior police officers were allowing to happen.
10 years on, 3 of the victims have finally had apologies from Greater Manchester Police. But hero whistleblower Maggie, who continues to dedicate her life to getting justice for the girls, says the apologies don't go far enough.
She truly is a hero. Please welcome Maggie Oliver.
Hi.
I just seen there, I mean, you've said these apologies don't go far enough, and we really want to get into that. But nonetheless, it was Tuesday this happened. It was a significant event, wasn't it? I mean, tell us, and you were there, what happened?
Yeah, a massive day, Kay. For the girls, but for me too. But to sit there in that room, first time I've ever met a chief constable in all these 10 years.
Really?
He's a new chief constable. And to sit with Amber and Ruby, who I've they've become like my own daughters. So 10 years is a long time. And to sit there in that room with those girls, particularly with Amber, because I've travelled this very much alongside her, to sit there and watch the kind of the light come up in her eyes when she, for the first time, sat there and read a letter saying, you were a victim, you were failed, we should not have treated you like this, was really emotional. Really, really emotional, because it's been a long journey. And I've seen that child. She's a young woman now.
How old is she now?
27 or something.
Wow.
27. But to see her, you know, nearly lose her children because she'd been portrayed as a madam when she was 14 and 15 years old. And to know that I had been saying this for 10 years, the first chief constable that I went to in desperation saying, do you know what you're doing to these children? You know, he fobbed me off, ignored the children, and allowed this to happen for 10 years. And every single step of that journey, we have had to fight tooth and nail. You know, I've gone through 2 sets of lawyers to get this apology. We've got a police force that's gone into special measures. They've failed at least 80,000 other victims. That's why they went into special measures. But to sit there on Tuesday, it was really emotional. And that is the human consequence of what they've done.
We've got the statement here. It's from Chief Constable Stephen Watson. It says, it's a matter of profound personal regret that the childhoods of these victims were so cruelly impacted by the dreadful experiences they endured. Greater Manchester Police could and should have done much more to protect them. What did he say to you, Maggie, though? Because your life's been turned upside down.
I asked him where was my apology letter.
Did you?
I did.
I love
Good,
you.
good. I said, where's my apology?
Yeah.
He didn't answer me. But
What, like you hadn't said anything?
Yeah,
Just ignored it.
He didn't. But we did actually have a really constructive conversation, you know, because I've started the Maggie Oliver Foundation and we are being approached every day. Yesterday, 60 survivors alone came to us.
Wow.
This is not a problem that's gone away. But my admiration for these 3 girls is that they have allowed their pain and their individual trauma to be discussed throughout the whole country.
Yeah.
You know, they have, I mean, you think of Amber, she has been demonised as a madam, as a criminal, as a child who wasn't worth prosecuting dozens of men who raped her. Her apology said, we have now formally recorded all these crimes against you. So it's been a battle, but we went on to say that, you know, things haven't really changed. Here's a
It's
new...
still happening.
Oh, massively. This has not gone away. This is why I'm grey under all this blonde bleach. But, you know, we went on to say that at the foundation, we are there to help the police to learn to do this better. And if they want to really improve, don't leave it at an apology. Those girls have been at the forefront of trying to change things for victims throughout the country, as I have been. I have driven this, but now is the start of the changes. It's not the end of a journey, it's the beginning.
What's been the impact on your life, though, Maggie?
And your family as well.
Yeah, it's been traumatic. I mean, my life has changed forever. You know, I was quite happy and I loved my job. I was good at what I did. That's why Operation Span asked me to go and gain the trust of these children. They didn't come to us. We went to them and I asked them to trust me. And then the rug was pulled from under me and from under those girls. And for 18 months, I tried to be heard within the job. But my last day at work, I ended up unconscious on the floor because I couldn't sleep at night. I couldn't make sense of, you know,
Injustice.
The justice.
yeah. You know, we'd begged and pleaded with these children. I'd stood with Amber while she identified 11 men who had raped her repeatedly. You know, she'd sat with me and cried about being taken through 5 metal gates and locked in a property where she thought she'd never escape, and being raped, being threatened at gunpoint by one of her abusers in the car. And then I get told, sorry, love, we've changed our mind. So I couldn't make sense of that. And I went to every rank. I went to the SIO, I went to the head of serious crime, I went to Peter Farr, who was the chief constable, I went to the Home Office, I went to the IOPC. Nobody wanted to hear.
Why? Why didn't they want to hear?
Because it's a difficult case to prosecute. They took the easy option. They built a case around one child who was abused, but we had over 36 children. And whilst I understand that in the CPS are very much to blame in this, GMP have apologised, the CPS still haven't. They still maintain that they did nothing wrong. Well, I believe that they
still
massively did.
100% committed. And, you know, you had so many things going on in your life. Of course, you lost your husband, sadly, to cancer. You had your own children.
Yeah.
How was that for your children? Because you were so committed to these children that needed you more almost.
Yeah, I love my kids, you know, they're the centre of my life. And this case and this principle took me away from them in a way. But I am so proud of my kids, you know, and my youngest son is actually travelling now. He's in Mexico at the moment. I've not seen him for about 5 months.
Well, can I read out something that he posted about you yesterday? This is so lovely, girls. Prepare. What a thorn in the side of the Greater Manchester Police my mum has been for the past 10+ years. Without her tenacity, this would have been buried under the carpet. Even though there's been a lot of pain and personal sacrifices, I hope that this brings some kind of closure to this particular case. Well done, Mum and team. Proud Mum. Oh. How did that make you feel?
I woke up and I saw that, and he's not one, he doesn't say a lot. But I think my kids have learned something from this journey, that, you know, things aren't always easy, and we all have choices to make in life, you know, and this choice cost me a lot personally. You know, I'd had a family home for 30 years. I had to sell that house. I ended up in a little apartment, living on £500 a month. I got a lodger. I was very ill. I ended up unconscious.
But my God, what would these girls have done without you?
Could you run for Prime Minister? I'd really like to put her forward for the next Prime Minister.
I'm not going back.
You know what? I've upset enough people on this journey.
In the very best way, Maggie, thank you so much. And if you would like some advice on this, there is help on our website, so please do look. Thank you, Maggie. Lots more to come, including the one and only Matt Goss joining us live behind the desk, all coming up after 1 o'clock.
I'm so happy it was right.
Tomorrow, the Cinnamon TV chaser Paul Sinner joins us ahead of Parkinson's Awareness Week. After going public with his diagnosis 3 years ago, Paul speaks openly about his struggles, keeping busy, juggling quizzing and comedy, and enjoying the thrill of the chase. Paul Sinner, tomorrow on Loose Women.
Welcome back to your Thursday Loose Women. We're getting in the mood for today's guest with a bit of bros. It's Sunetra Sarkar, Linda Robson, Nadia Sawalha and me, Kay Adams. Yep, Matt Goss is here to tell us why he's back in Britain for good and why his latest album is a love letter to his fans like our Linda and indeed our Sunetra. Look at that. A real brothette.
It was an award too. I don't dress like that every day.
Only when you're hanging out with the boys.
Now here's the latest twist in the Wagatha Christie drama. In yesterday's pre-trial hearing, Colleen Rooney's team revealed that they were unable to access important WhatsApp messages between Rebecca Vardy and her manager because an IT expert assigned by Becky's team had allegedly forgotten the password which he used to encrypt the material. Don't know how much of an expert he was.
Where did they find him?
Oh my goodness. Well, even if you're not an expert, but I mean, Linda. Okay, do that first. Yeah, go on. Yeah, do it now. It's time. It's time.
No, you're in danger from this point.
No, she can't.
tell people why people
Well,
think I've
we
done
started
this
to talk
Linda.
about this morning, and she rattles off every password that she's ever had.
Well, it used to be your mother Clayton, though.
But nowadays it's on
But it used to be your mother
Seriously,
Clayton, though. It's not now.
I've never known anyone want to tell her passwords openly. I'm like, guess
Well,
what?
that trust
Mine
you lot.
Lauren or any of her kids, if you're at home, be warned. She's here. You might have to immediately change the password.
I know, 'cause we all went, no, Linda, don't tell us, we
so
don't want to know.
sacred, isn't it? It's that thing about even at shops where people put their like hand over it.
I ain't got no secrets anyway.
This is not working, team.
There is
But I
fraud
tell you
out
what, she's getting her top lip waxed really well.
there. No, but
Oh, no, listen, that's beginning to look quite inappropriate now.
I was going to say that with the password thing, the bane of my life, I hate passwords. Who doesn't? I mean, every time you get asked for a new one or change it, it's just no one can enjoy that. But there was a time when I was working in casualty, we all leave our phones lying around, and back in those days, everyone sort of had the same one. And I literally picked up my phone and went da-da-da-da with the 4 digits it did, and it opened and I went, oh, that's not my phone. And it was Tony who played Noel, the receptionist. It was his phone, and I went, Tony, we got the same password.
Yeah, 6748.
Oh my God!
That won't
Removed.
Never tell. I see security coming.
It's a nightmare. There needs to be an invention.
Take that off and see what her top lip's looking like. There you go.
I've got a whisker anymore.
Right, you'll love this one, Linda. You'll love this one. Would you send your toddler off to the supermarket on their own? Now, you think that the answer would be obvious, but apparently not, at least on the controversial Japanese television show Old Enough, which sends kids as young as 2 out into the world completely alone to complete errands and see how they react.
9 children from 2 to 5 years old
Oh, first time, so fun. Oli, are you alright?
will be given a chance to be independent,
Minta, you're going to reach. Good job. Come on, I need to go to my house. Thank you. Do I need to pay money?
for the first time ever. Their parents asked them to run errands alone.
I came here by myself,
Don't you want to help Mama?
but it's so hard.
So
cute. Just want to take them all home with me.
You do. Well, the producers say the aim of the show is to instill confidence into the children and help them become more independent, and that there are strict safety measures in place. We've got to say that, of course. But I can't see Nanny Linda sending off one of the kids at the age of 3 down to the supermarket.
Betsy's 5. I do take her to the supermarket, and I do give them their own little trolley, and they go around and pick what they want me to cook for them that night, so that's all right.
Aww.
But as for sending them off on their, and I think 2 and 3 is a bit young, and I know they're being safe and they're being looked after and everything, but what are they going to put in their trolleys? It's like all the things that they like, all
Yeah.
the goodies, all the sweets, everything like that.
But it's giving them that responsibility,
It is,
isn't
yeah,
it?
it is.
It's
But I
so
think it's
cute because
young.
I think, especially at that really young age, they don't see that as work. They don't go, oh, back to the supermarket, I have to go. They see that as a real fun. It's like the first stage of enjoying something that we know is not fun later on in life, you know. And I always believed, I think I'm definitely not a cotton wool mum. I've always been a lot more like independent, if that's the right word, but giving them the feeling that they are in charge of their own little situation. Yeah. And I'd say to Noah from a very young age, I'd say, you know, can you ask the waiter for the bill? And he'd go, oh, okay. And he'd go off and he'd go, and then he'd come back and he'd get a little thrill from accomplishment. And I think things like that, you know, petrol station, giving them a tenner and going, I'm putting £10 in, will you go and give it in the receipt? And just being part of society, and then seeing these little kids with a camera following them.
I know.
So they're not going to get run over, right?
They're safe.
But I think it's brilliant.
I know,
think
but
it's
that's
a great idea.
I mean, I used to do the same, but in terms of independence, genuine independence, how much? I mean, the reality is there's kids in certain parts of the world that are rummaging over rubbish tips, trying to get valuable things to take home to feed their parents. So, I mean, and we do tend to mollycoddle our children. Do you think we mollycoddle them too much?
I definitely did. I totally wrapped my kids up in cotton wool, and I think a lot of that was Mark as well, because he gets so anxious about them.
Yeah.
We all do, don't we, about our kids? So there would be that, the anxiety about something happens to them. But also, I think if I'm really honest, a lot of times it was just quicker and easier for me to do it because I had a job to get to, or I got to. And so actually, when I look back on that, you know, should I have started them at 2? I don't know. fully, because apparently it's really good for you if you get them getting themselves fully dressed, make the bed, the whole
there is
lot
a school of
at
thought.
2 years old.
Yeah, this is a parenting book called Positive Discipline that says that kids should be able to dress themselves at 2 years of age. And so you just let them get on with it, and you're not helping them
But
at
won't
all.
you find you're always rushing in the morning? And so I think I probably didn't give them enough independence when they were younger, for sure. But at the time, you're just getting on with it, aren't you? But certainly as teens, I do give them a lot more independence because I think it's important. I think that's the point, that you've got to start. You've got to get out there in the world, because you can't wrap them up in cotton wool forever.
I mean, Linda, what age did you start working as a professional actress?
10.
10.
Yeah.
So you're right out in the adult world.
Yeah, but pretty young in the adult world.
Yeah. But so I gave Lauren, I think, her independence when she got to her teens, but still there were rules. Like, she wanted to go to the West End one day. She was probably about 13 or 14. So she said, "Can I go to the West End with my friends?" I went, "No, you can't. It's too far. It's on the bus and all that. No, you can't." And she said, "Well, Jackie said I should be allowed to." She said, "Because her kids are 13 and they're..." I said, "Well, tell Jackie to mind her own business because Linda says no."
But what she should have said was you were out working at 10.
I know, she should have said that. But I was being chaperoned as well. So I had chaperones looking after me while I was working.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have had a chaperone with her then.
No.
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting is when you've got your own way that works with your children, and then you go to other people's houses, or you go to family members and you go, "Oh, you're not doing what we do. You're not giving that sort of independence to your children. Like, take your plate away from the table, or, ask if anybody else's plate's finished so you can take it with you to the sink." All these sort of small things that you think everybody's kids do. Then when you see other people who don't, for example, go further than you. I've got a friend whose children are allowed to go into town at any time of night, and I've gone, "Oh, not at 8, surely." But they've gone, "No, it's fine, because we've got friends who they drop in to see on the way." And so I think everyone's version of what they would let their kids do on a show like this, especially at that little baby, 3 years old, carrying the trolley's going to be bigger than him.
The other thing is, you just know that there's a film crew
around
it, which is very different from off you pop down to the shops. Coming up next, it's the moment we have all been waiting for. Linda and Sinatra especially, Bros superfan Linda. Matt Goss is joining us. Yes, the last few times he's been here, he's offered our Linda a cheeky smooch, and she was only too happy to oblige, I have to tell you. As you can see, we're back with Matt.
So he's getting ready.
He's getting ready. Oh, get yourself ready, loves. We're back. Welcome back, and rather unsurprisingly, we seem to have lost our Linda to Matt Goss.
Where is Linda?
Listen. I'm sorry to interrupt you two, but we've got a show to do here. Linda!
Oh, you get on with it. I'm happy here.
She can get him to do anything, can't she?
You can. Well, Matt is hopefully joining us in a moment, but first, the competition with Craig.
Hello from Wicklow on the east coast of Ireland, and I brought you to one of my favourite spots, one of my favourite hangouts, and I've got something that's going to put a spring in your step today. It starts with £90,000 in totally tax-free cash. I used to come and play here when I was a kid, and I brought all my kids here to play and do poo sticks and all that stuff. No doubt my kids will wheel me around here in a couple of decades' time. We're also throwing in a brand new Mercedes-Benz. Think of all the road trips you could take and the beauty spots you could visit in this eco-friendly, fully electric car. So I'll sum it all up for you. It's £90,000 in tax-free cash, and then there's the car, and it could be yours. It only takes a few seconds to enter, so do get involved, and the very best of luck to you. For your chance to win, text WIN to 81119. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Go to the website. Entries cost £2. Call 09068 78 119. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and phone number to DY15, PO Box 7558, Derby, DE1 0NQ. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close on Friday, the 13th of May at 3 p.m. The best of luck to you.
Now, since rocketing to fame at just 19 years of age, our next guest has gone on to sell 17 million albums, enjoyed a record-breaking 11-year residency in Las Vegas, even won a BAFTA for his Fly in the Wall documentary. But for Matt Goss, it always has and always will be all about the music.
I watch you crumble like a very own boy. When will I be famous? I'm so happy it was right. I need somewhere to fall when you're alone. It feels better with you. It feels better, better, better. It feels better with you. It feels better with you.
Please welcome Matt Goss. Was it good, Linda? We didn't even ask.
The offer, did you offer?
Well, actually, you don't know. That's actually my studio apartment. I live here.
I've just got to say, the 16-year-old Sinatra cannot believe she is sitting next to him.
Yeah.
Have to get that out of the way.
I know, I think so. Well, that last song there, Matt, from your new album, The Beautiful Unknown, which I have to say has got brilliant reviews. You must be delighted.
Yeah, I'm over the moon to just, as you said, the residency was an incredible experience in Vegas, 11 years. But to be back with you guys, we've had some good memories, and it's just
He was looking at you, Linda. He was looking at you.
it's just nice to be home, and having a top 10 record is just incredible when you've written it from a place of solitude, and now it's out there. It's just.
And where are you staying at the moment?
I'll text you my address and my passwords.
So Vegas is behind you now, is it?
I am talking to 2 casinos, but I will never do 4 shows a week. There's 120 shows a year. It just started to wear me thin, but I want to see the world and tour and tour the world with pop music, and it's my roots, and I understand that. I learned so much in Vegas, more than any other venue I've ever been in. But it's time, and I'm having the time I like.
What kind of music were you doing in Vegas? Was it very different to what you're doing now?
No, I was playing the hits, but with a big band. We had a big band.
You taught Michael Bublé everything he knows, didn't you?
It was. I know Michael. I've performed with Michael, but I just had a big band, dancers, the showgirls. But it was one place every night, and it was very, very, very glamorous. But it was. I like, getting.
Well, you said about seeing the world. I believe you just had an amazing trip to the Serengeti. Is that right?
Yeah, I was in Africa and the Serengeti, and the last show, I actually asked the audience to just lay back and look at the stars, and no lights, nothing, just some fire, and I did a 7-minute version of an acoustic version of Blackbird, and it was just magical. It was just it's very humbling, and it made you realize that we think very highly of ourselves. And to be honest with you, we would last 30 seconds on those planes when you watch a 17 lion kill a buffalo and bring it down, and it is the circle of life, and it really is humbling. It's a beautiful experience, and to do a show in Africa was just incredible.
And you sound like you're really spiritual. Are you spiritual?
I am spiritual.
Yeah.
I have a great deal of faith. I think faith is my operative word rather than necessarily religion. I think we all have the right to have our own internal faith, and I think that is, for me, kindness and belief that we are good and the people out there are good.
You've achieved so many different things, haven't you? BAFTA winner as well as everything else. And you talk often about self-belief.
Yeah.
If you have none, how do you get it?
I think that I wake up sometimes fearful for no reason. And it's a split decision. You spiral up or you spiral down. And I think the reason that the album is called The Beautiful Unknown is because we don't usually associate beautiful and unknown as one. Fear is not something that helps us. We have to try and encourage each other to collectively spiral upwards and get rid of the jealous culture and believe in your neighbor, believe in yourself, and be happy for each other. And I'm not trying to be kumbaya. I just believe that way. My life is better when I actually wish well on others, and it does come back to me. And
you also want to do some acting now as well, don't you?
I am, and I'll be, obviously,
I'll be your leading lady.
The major love scene in that, which is
Let's start training now.
No, it's a psychological thriller. I'm playing a very sinister character, which I'm looking forward to do.
So where are you going to tap into for that?
Listen, I'm born in Lewisham, South East London boy. It's in here, and
Yeah.
I'm a nice guy, but I change shape if you're rude to me. But I'm not. I'm a strong, able-bodied man.
Do you think because of all the life experiences you've had, obviously from that massive fame all those years ago to this new fame, which is wearing a different hat? Pardon the pun. But do you?
Can I wear my hat?
Oh, go on. If you insist, I mean, only if you insist.
Oh, suits you.
Nice. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. Yeah, I like
At
it.
this moment. No, what I was saying is because you've worn so many hats and been through so many life experiences, ups and downs,
Right.
like, do you think you'll be able to personify that in your acting do you think you could go to that dark place where you were at your lowest, or do you think you've sort of pushed that out of your head and gone, don't want to go there again?
No, I think it's in me all the time. Listen, sometimes I'm on my knees, like with the loss of my mother and my sister, and COVID allowed me to really. I had to take stock of what I've been through, and yeah, I will pull from those things. But I continue to do that even when I'm writing a song. I have a tattoo that says "Never waste good agony." But as long as you transfer it into a good place, then I think it's It's
Have you got Linda on the other arm?
Well, Linda's all over my back. I've got your portrait on me. It's beautiful.
We are expecting one of your next singles to feature this.
You've got a big gig coming up at the Palladium on April the 23rd,
yeah.
haven't you? Yeah.
I was going home.
Yeah. Okay.
Then I decided we just said the band sounds so good. Like, can we do a pop-up show? Andy Coppin at Live Nation and Rachel said, let's do it. And the Palladium was available on Saturday night. And so if you're watching, everybody follow my Instagram at Matt Goss and come to the Palladium. Have the best time of your life. It's going to be all the old hits, the new hits, and it's always very connective at the Palladium when I play there.
You've achieved so much. Do you still feel you've got something to prove? I mean, I go back to that, early song, When Will I Be Famous, where you've done it. Do you still feel you want to be out there proving yourself?
I'm like you guys. You're not proving yourselves. You love what you do,
Yeah.
right? It's my career. It's an ongoing career. It's ongoing progression, and the British public have seemed to let me progress and develop, and and just learn. And yeah, I'm not going anywhere. If the dear Lord above lets me
You've
stay
got one
here.
thing to do before we finish, haven't you?
What's that?
You know what it is, what we always do.
Right. Have a little-
Oh my God. Brazen.
I'm so sorry.
You don't ask, you don't get.
Squeaky Will gets the grease. That's what I say. You know what I mean?
There's the Lewisham. There it is.
They've now folded into each other, ain't they? Well, you two are off up the apples and pears in a minute, aren't you? I mean, or whatever you want to do. Matt, it's been fantastic to have you. Thanks very much for coming.
It's good to be home.
What's your address?
Stop it. Stop it. That's it for today. Nadia, Sinetra and I will be back tomorrow for our live extra long Good Friday show. I think Linda might need a day off after today.
Have a rest.
And Chaser Paul Sinner will be joining as well. So we'll see you at the usual time, 12:30.
Come on, you might as well finish that.